Hello, once again. This is a homily for the 19th Sunday of the year. The readings may look to be a little bit out of place here, but if you look through the first reading, Psalm, second reading, Gospel, you will see that they are all organized so that you get an image of who God is. And the image is coming from Scripture, so it's true, it's an accurate picture of who God is. Firstly, from the Book of Wisdom, and just remember as a side comment that it's a very, very late wisdom that is being written about 50 years maybe before Jesus. And it is very much written for a people who are suffering. 50 years before Jesus, they're under Roman occupation, and the Romans were very much like ISIS, except without the charm. And what you find is that the wisdom books are to encourage the Jewish people to stay faithful, but stay faithful to a proper image of God. So in the first reading from the Book of Wisdom, you have a number of things. The Passover, he says, because he's going through all the different events from way back at the time of the Exodus. The Passover was known beforehand, that sure knowledge of which the oaths in which they put their faith, they might have courage. In other words, they had enough confidence that whatever he was going to do, this is God going to do, it would work out. He promised us this before, and it's going to work out. So that is the first point. Now, the second one is that in secret, the people were offering sacrifice and putting into effect with one accord the divine institution. In other words, God had instituted a certain way of worshiping. These people in secret were doing their faithful worship because they were oppressed, and consequently, when they suffered, they were suffering for a just cause, and God would reward them for that. The psalm, blessed the people the Lord has chosen as his own. In other words, here are people who have been chosen, just like us, and consequently, we are blessed just like they were. Exalt you just in the Lord. If you're just, then you will be blessed. See, the eyes of the Lord are upon those who fear him. In other words, we need to have a proper fear of God and not kind of try and domesticate God. Carrying on, our soul waits for the Lord, who is our help and our shield, and therefore, that's how reliable he is. The second reading is from Hebrews, and here it is picking up an ancient example, Abraham, and saying basically he went out not knowing where he was to go, and look how well he succeeded because he had faith in the Lord who was leading him. Message for us, we have to have faith in the God who is leading us. There's a lot more here. He even goes into the story of Abraham's son, Isaac. I'm trying to find the end here. When put to the test, Abraham offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promises was ready to offer his only son. In other words, he really had confidence that God was going to pull something really good out of what looked like a horrific sacrifice for this old man who had been waiting for a son for decades and had not succeeded. And he received Isaac back as a symbol. You know the story of Isaac as well as I do, and the point is the fact that Isaac survived this test of Abraham is an indication that this one who is being sacrificed will come back. And of course, Hebrews knows that he did come back. Okay, then in the gospel, we have Jesus. This is in Luke's gospel. Be not afraid. In other words, we don't need to be afraid of God. What we need to do is to be confident that your Father is pleased to give you the kingdom. That's it. It's worked. It's happened. Salvation has come about. God is giving you, the people he's talking to, the kingdom. So he then goes into a kind of allegory where he says, provide money bags for yourselves that do not wear out. And all of this is to collect an inexhaustible treasure in heaven that no thief can steal. We were told in last week's gospel that we must choose what is worthy of God, what God values, and here it is more of the same teaching. For where your treasure is, there also will your hearts be. And then he gives this little parable of the slaves waiting for the master. If they're awake when the master comes back, he will sit them at table. In other words, flip the whole situation, and he will make a meal for them. So therefore, lastly, he says, blessed is that servant whom his master on arrival finds doing so. In other words, waiting and watching. If, on the other hand, the master is delayed and the servant thinks, oh, well, he's delayed, so I'm going to act up, then the servant's master will come back and will punish the servant severely. So there you have this image of, again, life as we have it with our intimate relationship to God, how God is going to behave and how we need to behave in appreciation of that. Thank you.